There were a few differences, I mean, between who I am in my own life and the vision that Tom had. I call him the mind, because this all came from his mind and Kevin's mind. But he always said that neurotic Nick Cage is the best Nick Cage. So he would push me more in those realms of mania and anxiety, which is fun. I mean, it was fun, but I would say, well, it's not really me when I'm at home with my cat, but that's not as much fun.
I stand by my claim that neurotic Cage is the best Cage.
I'm Nick Friggin! Whoa, Cage!
The day we were shooting the scene where Nick is talking to the younger version of himself, and Nick came to us beforehand and said he thought that the younger version should grab the older version and at the end of the scene give him a big long kiss and then say, you tell him Nick Cage smooch is good. And I've really never laughed harder and been more like psyched about an actor's idea.
Well, we were talking about that early on. I mean, I was trying to get that in the script the whole time, because having to play two versions of myself in a movie that's sort of about some Tom Cormican version of myself. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna have to go full Bugs Bunny on this. I mean, Bugs Bunny was kissing everybody and everything, and it was very aggressive, and yeah, I'm kissing myself. I'm literally, the process of making this movie on some level was like making out with myself, and it was just weird, you know, and everything about it is uncomfortable and terrifying, but I thought, yeah, it all has to come to that moment. We have to keep that in the movie.
You know, Nick has sort of transcended the idea of being an actor. He's like a cultural figure in our minds, and we just thought this story had to be about him. There was no one else who could play it. So, like, from a purely business standpoint, it was like a colossally stupid decision to make a movie that only one person could do and say yes or no to. So, but there was no one else. But I mean, it's a very strange thing to say. We're just making up a version of a human being.
They knew a lot about my interests, which I also found that level of detail, that attention to detail, put the hook in me and made me want to do it.
Mr. Cage.
Excuse me, is Harvey going to want me to, you know?
I'm not sure I understand.
Look, if Harvey...
I am Harvey.
When, you know, I kept thinking about Javi because I loved that character, and I thought it was, for my money, it was the most well-written character in the movie and was the best part in the movie. And I kept saying to Pedro, I'll tell you what I'll do, I'll trade parts with you, because I loved his part. You know, that's a true story. You can back me up on that. But when I was imagining Javi, I really kept seeing his face, and so that's was amazing to me when I met your face. I kept seeing, when I would read the script, his face, and that was very interesting. So when they cast him, it was like, wow, this was almost like magic, you know?
I will say we had lunch with Pedro during the process, and he was such a fan in real life of Nick's, so that when we were talking about it, we kept coming back to, like, Pedro is such a real fan of Nick's and a real fan of movies, and there was so much overlap there that we thought that dynamic would play in the film, and I think it does.
It's so weird to talk about it with you sitting next to me. I've talked about it so much without you in the room, which is a lot easier. So I knew I wanted to be an actor quite young. I came up with this fantasy because we would go to the movies so much as a family. And so my, you know, as a child, the kinds of performances that were imprinted into my experience were yours. I feel like this is a kind of confession. I feel like I have to turn to you and, like, confess. So there isn't anything more surreal than I've done than to actually get to travel and go and be on set with Nick and act with him and be his scene partner, because he's my biggest influence.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I did not know that. I thought he was method acting the whole time. That's amazing, man. Well, thank you. Thank you. Well, Okay, well, let's return it, because I do think he's incredible in this movie. I mean, he has such an unusual style and an unusual way into comedy. And I told him, you have a very unique sense of humor that I have not seen before. And I could never really tell when he was being comedic or when he was being serious. And he brought all that to the character, which keeps the movie kind of unpredictable and off guard, which is perfect for the character, because you don't know if Javi is seriously dangerous or he isn't, or if he is genuinely playful and fun to be around or not. And that edge Pedro brought to that. That's the talent that he brought to it.
I was listening to you guys, and you actually turned to Pedro and you said, "I think you might be the strangest person I've ever met." I was like, what a compliment.
Well, I don't know. I meant that as a compliment. As you can see, we had a good flow. We had a good chemistry together, and that shows in the movie. The biggest departure with Tom's vision of Nick was that, that Nick needs to spend more quality time with his children. There's no version in the universe of a Nick Cage that doesn't want to spend time with his children. That family always comes first. That's my priority. But what he wanted to do was have an evolution that this Nick, so-called Nick, decides that it's not the so-called career, but it's the quality time with his daughter. I don't have a daughter in my real life, but she brought it to life for me.
It was fantastic. I mean, I really looked up to him forever. When I was in middle school, I used to do a thing called caging, which is where you take pictures and put them on people's lockers of you.
Wow.
I loved it. People found it so strange. They were like, who did this? But it was amazing to come, it was such a full circle moment, because I've looked up to you for so long.
Well, thank you.
And working with you was like a dream. I mean, I remember similarly to you, I felt such a connection to you.
We were friends, right?
Yeah.
We had a friendship.
Exactly.
We still do, so it was nice. I'm very happy to see her again. You do understand this is enormously surreal for me. This is why I dress like this. I'm ready, I'm strong, I can do this.
Yeah. It was very tough screaming in his face in Spanish about how much I hated his movie. Every inch of my fiber was saying, don't do it. But he took it very well, in good spirits, man. Yeah.
It was tough probably not to just smile all the time and laugh all the time, because I think that with all of us, and Sharon as well, and Paco as well, we created an amazing group. We were working during the pandemic. We were in Croatia, we were wearing masks, and there were a lot of crew members just working all for us, all around us, but we were having a lot of fun, actually. I think that you can totally see it from the movie that Tom and Kevin also created an amazing cast. We were really bonded.
I didn't have
a lot
good
of
time.
laughs.
What? I didn't have a good time.
We had a lot of laughs.
I thought it was freaky and stressful. But it's over.
Tell me a favorite story.
I had a very funny moment or surreal moment on the set. We were doing this. There's kind of an homage to Leaving Las Vegas, and it's Nick at the bottom of a pool, and it's his lowest point in this film, and it's kind of homage to maybe the highest point in his career, where he wins an Oscar for this role. And I thought it was kind of a cool, a thing to shoot. So. Nick came and I was explaining the scene. I said, it's just in the water and you're down at the bottom and you have a beer and he goes, Tom, I know, I've already done it. He had done the scene already, and it was just this surreal moment where things were looping in on themselves, and so he went and did this exact same scene.
It wasn't surreal for me as it was for you. I mean, it was surreal all the way around for all of us.
Sorry, but you can't quit acting. You can't. That's none of your business. Whether you like it or not, you have a gift.
One of my mantras has been, I never had a career, I only have work, and I like that. It's amazing how inspiring that is if you adopt that as your path in whatever job you have. If you just look at the work in front of you and you do your best and what work means to you. But in large, I feel blessed. I feel that I've made movies with people that genuinely enjoy cinema. And I've worked with some of the most interesting filmmakers and storytellers and actors around. So it's been good for me so far.